So here is the second tutorial, and this one is going to be addressing adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. There's a couple of things that you need to keep in mind when you are adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, and one is you first need to find the least common multiple. So the skill that you practiced in the last tutorial is what we're going to use to begin the process of finding a common denominator so you can then add or subtract fractions. So looking at the information here, your first step is to find the LCM. Well, you already know how to do that because that's what we focused on last time. Then you're going to find the factor of the numerator and the denominator to use to get the new numerator. That sounds a little confusing, but once you see what we're going to be doing, I think it's going to seem pretty clear. After you do those two steps, now you can either add or subtract the new numerators to find your answer. Remember, you do not add the denominators. So here we go. Let's take a look at the first one. And you're going to be adding 1/3 and 2/5. Now off to the right, again, I've got reminders of what you need to do. So the first thing you're going to do is find the least common multiple of 3 and 5. Well, just like you did in the last tutorial, you're going to think of your 3 table and your 5 table, and you're going to find the first multiple that they both share. And yes, it's 15. So if that's what you were saying, good job. Now, this is what you're going to look at to find that factor. 5 times what number is 15? Well, 5 times 3 is 15. That means you're going to multiply 2 times 3 to get your new numerator. 2 times 3 is 6. We're going to do the same thing here. 3 times what number is 15? Well, that's 5. So that's the factor that you're going to multiply your new numerator by to get your equivalent fraction. And you've got 5/15. Well, we said that you're going to add your new numerators. 5 plus 6 is 11. And again, your denominator is going to stay the same. So you have 11/15. And that's your answer. Nice. Now, when we go to the other ones, I'm going to ask you to pause the video while you find the numerator and denominator to make your equivalent fractions so that you can then either add or subtract. 4/9 and 1/6. And you're going to be adding. So pause the video here while you determine your common denominator, and then come back in once you get that. Okay? So, I know that you looked at this and you thought, okay, my 9 table and my 6 table, common denominator, the first multiple they share is 18. Okay? So now, I want you to pause the video while you find the factor that you're going to multiply your numerator and denominator by to make your equivalent fractions. And then when you're ready, come back in. Okay? And good job. Here we go. So when you looked at 6 and you thought 6 times what number is 18? Well, that was 3. So 6 times 3 is 18. 1 times 3 is 3. There's an equivalent fraction. Now, 9 times what number is 18? Well, that would be 2. 9 times 2 is 18. 4 times 2 is 8. You now have common denominators, so now you can add your new numerators. 8 plus 3, that's 11, and 11/18 is your answer. Nice. So now, let's take a look at 7/12 and 4/15. Again, pause the video here while you determine the common denominator for 12 and 15. Okay, so 60. Good job. Now, think 15 times what number is 60? And that's 4. 15 times 4 is 60. 4 times 4 is 16. 12 times what number is 60? And that's going to be 5. 7 times 5 is 35. Again, we're adding, so 35 plus 16, and you have 51 sixtieths. Okay? If you're looking at this over here and you're thinking, what am I going to put there? This is where you're finding that factor. What number times 12 is? I did not put in the 60 here because I did not want to give you a clue as to what it was. Okay, but this is what we're doing. We're thinking 15 times what number is the 60? That's what, if you were wondering, what are you putting in those blanks? That's what you're putting in there. Okay, here we go. Next one. Let's see if it's an addition or if it's a subtraction this time. And it's a subtraction. You have 8/11ths subtract 3/22. Again, pause the video here while you determine the common denominator. And, Bella, stop. Pause the video here while you determine what the common denominator is. And if you got 22 for your common denominator, you're absolutely right. Now, you're going to take a look at 22 times what number is 22? Well, that's 1. So, and we talked about this in school. When your denominator does not change, your numerator doesn't change either. Because as you notice here, your factor that you're multiplying by is 1. 11 times what number is 22? That's going to be 2. 8 times 2 is 16. Remember, you're subtracting now. So when you subtract 16, subtract 3, you've got 13. And you've got 13 over 22, or 13/22 for your answer. Okay, nice. Hopefully this is bringing back some memories of what we did in school before the Christmas break. And this is going to help you with finding common denominators and then being able to add or subtract fractions. Now, 9/14 subtract 3/20. Again, pause the video here while you find your common denominator. Remember, you can either write out the multiples or you can prime factor. Okay, and then start the video again once you've found that common denominator. And, yeah, this was a big one. 140. When you look at 14 and 20, the first multiple they both share is 140. So now you're going to think 20 times what number is 140? Well, I'm going to think 2 times what number is 14, and that would be 7. So 20 times 7 is 140. 3 times 7 is 21. 14 times what number is 140? That would be 10. 14 times 10 is 140. 9 times 10 is 90. Remember, you're subtracting. So pause the video here while you subtract to find your answer, and then click back in once you get it. 69 over 140 is the difference of these two equivalent fractions. Nice. And this is the end of this tutorial. So now what I would like you to do is